Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Welcome to Cincinnati and Great American Ballpark. A gorgeous afternoon. The Blue Jays wrap up a 10-game road trip today. The rubber match of this 3-game series. The clubs have split the first 2 games of these series, and they were contrasting games for sure. The Blue Jays came back from an 8-0 deficit on Friday night, and they fell behind 8-0 yesterday and could do nothing against Mike Blake. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays lineup. Munenori Kawasaki is leading off. Jose Reyes is not in the lineup after fouling a ball off his leg yesterday, so he is out of the lineup for the time being. Colby Erasmus, since returning, has gone 6 for 16, and he's got a couple of doubles, a home run hit down yesterday here off of Mike Lake, and right behind him. Brent Laurie this season in interleague play has a .346 average, a pair of doubles, 2 home runs, and he's driven in 3, and the offense is going to have their hands full today with Johnny Cueto, the Reds ace.
They are in tough against Cueto, quite simply the best pitcher of the National League this year. 15 starts. Look at some of these numbers. 192 earned run average. That leads the National League. Innings pitched 108, which is 3rd. The strikeouts 111, which is 2nd most. Tough to get any hits off of Johnny Cueto. The whip under 1. He just doesn't give you anything when he takes the mound.
So Johnny Cueto has really been a terrific pitcher. He's in his 7th season with Cincinnati, signed as an amateur free agent in 2004. And Cueto, the perfect man for the Reds if you're trying to win a series. They have split the first 2 games, as we've mentioned. Cueto is now 28 years old. He signed as a non-drafted free agent in March of 2004. And over the last 5 seasons, only Clayton Kershaw has a better ERA than Johnny Cueto. Kershaw, a .239 earned run average. Cueto, a .277 earned run average over the last 5 seasons.
So stingy. He's got 3 pitches that he can throw at any time for strikes. And in the daytime, there's nobody better in the National League with an ERA under 1.
As the first pitch hits upstairs, and we are underway. Munenori Kawasaki starting at shortstop for the first time this season. He's in the leadoff spot. Same pitch. This one's a strike.
That was the pitch that he was called out on yesterday. That really got the attention of the manager of the Blue Jays, John Gibbons.
Johnny Cueto uses that tee-out style delivery as he turns his back to the hitter. That can be very challenging for a hitter.
Really just stumbled upon it when he was injured. He was working on it on flat ground. It felt very natural to him. You see him turn the back to the batter. Worked on it down in the bullpen. Started to feel a little bit better. Started twisting a little bit more. And the timing of that can be distracting to the hitter. And then watch the glove there, and all of a sudden the ball's right at you.
Kawasaki drives it to left field. Ryan Ludwig is there. 1 down. Cincinnati has the best defense in baseball. They've committed just 28 errors. Brian Ludwig is in right field. Jay Bruce is in left field, and Skip Schumacher is in center. Frazier, Kozan on the left side, Phillips Votto on the right side. They're both Gold Glovers, and Brian Pena, who's the personal catcher for Johnny Cueto, is behind the plate.
Yeah, you want to talk about job security? How about this guy right here? You're catching the best pitcher in the National League. Just put down the right fingers and make sure you catch it, and you'll be in the lineup.
Melky Cabrera takes it outside. It's 2-0.
Cueto, you can see him. He is not afraid to pitch inside. You see that first pitch really brushed Melky Cabrera back off the plate, and then he went right back outside with a fastball. He's got impeccable command. Going to really hit his spots. I think the Blue Jays are going to have to square them up and look for something on the corners.
There's another high strike. Marty Foster, the home plate umpire, has already shown Cueto and the Blue Jays he's going to call that high strike. For Johnny Cueto, that can be a problem. You start pitching the Blue Jays up in the strike zone, they're liable to hit some home runs. Cueto's not overpowering. He'll pitch it 92, 93, but then when he throws that four-seam fastball, it'll jump to 95, 96.
Yeah, that's where he's got something left in the tank. He's also got a great slider and a great cutter.
There's that good changeup, and Cabrera strikes out.
Let's take a look at Johnny Cueto and what he will feature this afternoon for the Toronto Blue Jays. You mentioned the fastball. He throws it about half the time, and he'll vary his speeds with it. The cutter and the slider are about the same pitch. He will use that when he needs. He can throw up for a strike anytime he wants to. And the changeup, taught to him by the great Red Mario Soto, who also had a great changeup, taught it to him while he was in the minor leagues, and it's a good one.
Jose Bautista, the right fielder, has hit .233 on this road trip. His average at .303 for the season. Hits this ball up the middle. That'll be a base hit. Bautista's aboard. A 2-out single. Well, the Blue Jays 3-6 on this road trip, and they need to win a series. They have not won a series lately, and you go back to that St. Louis Cardinals series, that's when everything turned south.
Yeah, they won the first game in that one. They ran in some tough pitchers to finish off that one. They have run in some tough pitching on this road trip. You got Cueto this afternoon. Mike Leake was outstanding yesterday. Tanaka in New York. They're just going to have to battle it. That's what it's all about.
Edwin Encarnacion takes one outside. Edwin has hit .278 on this road trip. He's had 3 doubles and 3 home runs. And there's a pitch right on the corner. A little bit extra on that fastball.
Up to 93. You're right. 92, 93, 91. He'll vary his speeds with his fastball. But what's impressive about Cueto is his ability to put it where he needs to get outs. Already this season, there's that little cutter right there. He has had 4 games where he had double digits in strikeouts. Not overpowering. He's not imposing like Matt Latos was on Friday night, but boy, can he ever pitch.
Encarnacion had to reach for that pitch on the outside part of the plate. Just got a piece of it. Johnny Cueto is all over the leaderboard when you look at the National League leaders. He is tied with Henderson Alvarez with 3 complete games. Another tough pitch. Encarnacion got a piece of it. Leads the National League, leads baseball with a 1.92 ERA. On 108 2/3 innings. That's 3rd.
Stingy.
In the American League.
Stingy. He just doesn't give you a pitch to hit, and when he does, you better not miss it. His opponent's batting average is the best in the National League, also under 170.
There's a base hit through the right side. Bautista is going to challenge the arm of Jay Bruce. Here's the throw all the way on the fly, not inside. Joe West standing right on top of the bag made the call. Bautista ran right in the face of Jay Bruce. Encarnacion, a 2-out single. Back-to-back singles by the Blue Jays with 2 outs.
If you're going to play them in that shift like they did against Encarnacion, and with 2 strikes, he's going to cut things down, and that's a pitch that's away. Fastball away, and he stayed right with it. Just hit a little ground ball to the right side. It looked like Jay Bruce didn't come hard after that ball, and Bautista challenged him.
Jose kind of coasted into second as if he was kind of going to stop at second, and Bruce might have been fooled by that. But Bautista looked like he had third base on his mind from the get-go. So it's 1st and 3rd, 2 outs now for Colby Erasmus. Erasmus hit a home run in the 7th off of Mike Leake yesterday. Erasmus has hit .300 against Johnny Cueto. He's 7 for 23 with a homer.
He has picked up where he left off when he went on the disabled list with that hamstring injury. He was swinging a red-hot bat at that time.
You see the Reds are wearing that camouflage jersey top. It is Military Appreciation Day. They will have 3 days like that during the course of the season, so they have that on today. And before the game, a company of Air Force recruits were sworn in before the game.
You can see Edwin Encarnacion taking his time over there. They really watered down the field today, and it's sloggy right now. And Encarnacion, just the dive back into first base. Look how filthy his uniform is already.
Hooked foul outside of first. We mentioned Rasmus against Mike Leake. He got a pitch he liked yesterday.
Well, it's usually down when Colby Rasmus is taking the ball out of the ballpark. It looked like a pitch that was down right into his swing play, and hits his 10th home run of the season for the Blue Jays, their only run yesterday.
Upstairs, the appeal to Joe West, and he said no swing. So it's 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs. Blue Jays threatening against Johnny Cueto here in the first. Encarnacion gets back easily here.
Tough to run on Johnny Cueto. He's quick to home, and he's quick to first base. Not running here, but looked like that quick move has surprised Encarnacion over at first.
High fastball, and Rasmus swings right through it. Just 89 miles an hour, a little cut action on it. It's now 2-2.
That's where, if you're Colby Rasmus, you really have to discipline yourself and look for the ball down. Cueto knows that he can throw that high fastball on Rasmus and get him. Look for the ball down.
Another pitch upstairs, and Rasmus strikes out. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Johnny Cueto. Blue Jays leave a pair. R.A. Dickey will take the mound against the Reds when we come back. In this series, this is the lineup for the Reds, put together by Brian Price, Skip Schumacher, Todd Frazier, then Joey Votto. Votto at home this season is at .326 for the Reds. He has got 6 homers and 13 RBIs, and then Ryan Ludwig down in the 6th spot in the batting order. He's been a hot hitter over his last 13 games. He's hit .417 with 8 extra base hits and 6 RBIs, and they'll be taking on the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey.
R.A. was bumped from a Friday start. That was a series opener. They bumped him to this day right here to give him a little bit more time to recover from that groin injury he sustained when he was pitching in Baltimore. His numbers on the season in 15 starts, 6-5 with a 4.08 earned run average. Against the Reds, he has made 3 career starts versus Cincinnati. He's given up 10 earned runs in 18 2/3 innings against the Cincinnati ball club. He's going to have to get that knuckleball. He's going to have to keep it down. The Reds are swinging a hot bat right now.
Dickey left that game in the 7th after delivering a pitch and felt something in a groin injury. He threw one pitch trying to see if he could continue and then had to shut her down. Skip Schumacher leading off. Billy Hamilton not in the lineup this afternoon. Josh Tolle is working out his new glove. He's got that lighter glove. It's tan in color. He's been breaking it in for a while. He feels it's fit to go today. That hit Schumacher on the elbow, and they checked with the first base umpire to see if there was anything different. And Dickey's not in agreement, but Schumacher will take first.
Knuckleball gets away from him. You can see Schumacher is right on top of the plate, just daring Nick Dickey to throw that knuckleball inside. Plops him right on that back elbow, and first batter of the game reaches base for the Reds.
Schumacher doesn't run as often as he once did. There's another knuckleball inside to Todd Frazier. Frazier has faced Dickey before. He's 3 for 7 with a home run. He has 7 home runs in the month of June. That's tied with Andrew McCutchen and Adam Jones for the most in the majors. Hits this one on the ground. Francisco will go to second. He'll get 1. That's it. A bit different look defensively for the Blue Jays. Melky, Cabrera, Rasmussen, Bautista in the outfield. That's the same, but Francisco's back at third. Munenori Kawasaki makes his first start at shortstop with Reyes out. Lowry moves back to second. Encarnacion is the first baseman, and Josh Tolle makes his 20th start of the season this afternoon.
And Reyes got knocked on the knee yesterday, a foul ball that he left the game, and John Gibbons wanted to give him today off and a night game tomorrow. So the backup shortstop this afternoon making his first start is Kawasaki, and he has fielded the ball extremely well in this series and on this road trip. When Reyes was hurt last year, he got the bulk of the work at shortstop when Reyes was out last season.
Joey Votto, the first baseman, lays off that inside pitch. Ball and a strike. Votto had a good day at the plate yesterday. He had a couple of hits. He walked, scored a pair of runs, and drove in a run.
Started hitting the ball to left field a little bit more. I mean, that's his game. Go the other way. If they throw it inside, then you could try and pull it.
There's a good knuckleball as Dickey appears to have pretty good movement early in this ball game.
Yeah, all you have to do is watch the reaction by the catcher. If he has trouble catching it, you know he's got a lot of movement.
Strike 3. Votto checked his swing. It's strike 3. Let's take a look at the pitch script for R.A. Dickey's knuckleball. And he's made some adjustments since turning over to a full-time knuckleball pitcher.
Yeah, the first note is he's moved from the runway. That's the area between the two seams at the top of the baseball, and he's moved it to the top of the C. We always talk about the horseshoe on the baseball. It's also called the baseball C. He puts his 2 fingers on there, and Charlie Huff said that was the wrong grip, that where you weren't on the seams. Moved him to this spot right here, right at the top of that horseshoe, and it's done wonders for him.
Brandon Phillips with 2 outs. He takes his strike.
Here is that last knuckleball, and you're right. It looks like he's getting some movement on that ball as it heads towards home plate. High strike. We saw it in the top of the inning, and it's a high strike here to get Joey Votto.
Cleanup man is Brandon Phillips. He's behind 0-1. Now it's 0-2. He may have found that ball off himself as that was inside. He's kind of walking it off around home plate.
I think he did. Where the ball ended up, right in front of the Blue Jays dugout, you can see his knuckleball inside. It went right off his toe.
Sure did. Hit him right on the top of that left foot. 0-2, 2 outs. Frazier at first base. Got a piece of it.
Knuckleball on the inside part of the plate, and it's moving. See the tumble action, and it's going down. Gets it right off the top of the foot. It's up to hit that one square when it's moving like that.
You could see the grip on that last pitch. He was right at the top of the C, just as we showed you on the diagram. There's a weak grounder hit to third, and Francisco's got a good arm. Encarnacion can't dig it out of the dirt. That's a tough play for Francisco. He threw on the run, got it there, but Encarnacion, who's so good at digging those low throws out, just couldn't scoop this one out of the dirt.
That ball from a third baseman like that, there's a lot of movement on it. You can tell from this camera angle right here. Here comes Francisco, and he throws it. It's got the movement. It goes straight down. And Encarnacion did not hit the ground. He just cannot catch it. Stretches far and wide. It looked like it got him in the heel and then rolled right up the glove and out.
2 outs. The scorer has ruled that an infield hit, and if he took a look at that video, he might change his mind. Encarnacion stretched for it, and it hit him clearly in the glove. There was no skip at all, no short hop. Jay Bruce. Bruce has hit a home run in each of the first 2 games of this series. His numbers certainly don't reflect the way he's been swinging the bat in this series.
Yeah, he has had a great series, and he has swung early in the count.
Out in front of that one, and he'll hit that one into the upper deck, way foul.
That's where my seats were for years. Let's take a look at Jay Bruce in this series. He's got such a pretty swing. A ball on the outside part of the plate by Redmond. He's able to pull that ball into the seats. And then Jay Happ, first pitch, hangs a breaking ball. And that swing that has produced a lot of home runs over the last few years does again.
It's his pop back over the screen, out of play. There are the numbers for the series. Couple home runs. He's driven in 3, walked twice. He certainly doesn't look like a .219 hitter. Ooh, another one hit right down on the front leg. Jay Bruce topped that knuckler. They have looked at the video and have changed the ruling on the Brandon Phillips infield hit. It's been changed to an error by the first baseman Encarnacion, his 8th error of the season.
Wow, that one is going to leave a mark right there. Right off the shin.
There's a base hit to right. Frazier's around third. Bautista's going to throw to third, and they've got a shot at Brandon Phillips, and he'll be a dead duck. The run scores ahead of the out, so the Reds have taken a first inning lead. Jay Bruce with another RBI. Cincinnati up 1-0.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome back to Cincinnati. Brandon Phillips is still complaining about Bautista's throw to third. He was really caught off guard. Tough play for Bautista to go home on this.
Well, first of all, Brandon Phillips was not running hard. I don't know if he didn't expect that the run was going to be sent home on Bautista, but a heads-up play by Jose on a fly all the way from the right field corner throws out a surprise Brandon Phillips at third base.
Yeah, Bautista had to run too far to make that throw to the plate with 2 outs. Frazier at second was off on contact. Another heads-up play by Jose picks up his 8th outfield assist. The Reds are up 1-0. Brett Laurie. He gets hit on the hand again.
They're calling that a swing. Brett's going to have to come back to home plate. I think they're calling that a swing, and that's going to send John Gibbons out also. If you swing the bat and make an attempt to swing and it hits part of your body, it's a strike. It's not a hit by a pitch. And I think Brett's going to be surprised when he finds out he might have to come back to home plate.
The other time he was hit on his road trip was on the left hand. This time it looks like he was hit on his right hand. Mike Frosted out to look at the back of his right hand. But you see how he exposes his hands to those pitches inside. Tries to get the bat going, and he brings the hands right into harm's way. He got hit on the left hand earlier in this road trip, and here he gets hit on the right hand.
He got hit, I believe, in, boy, that's right on top of the fingers, in Baltimore and in New York on the left hand a couple of times. And then this time swinging. And it looks like they've changed their mind. The home plate umpire is going to let him stay over at first base. He came out behind home plate saying that was a swing.
Brett Laurie got hit by Chase Whitley on Wednesday in New York. And he would have to leave that game. He missed the Thursday game, but he's only missed 1 game after being hit by that pitch. So Laurie's at first, hit by a pitch. Former Red Juan Francisco steps in the box against Johnny Cueto. There's a strike that was boxed up by Brian Pena, the catcher.
Watch the home plate umpire after this right here saying that's a swing, that's a swing. And then I think he's pointing to the first base umpire and asking him if he saw a swing.
I think that's what it was. He asked for help on that play. So the umpire at first base, Rob Drake, felt like it wasn't an attempt to swing at the ball. So they award Laurie first base. Ball and a strike to Francisco. There's a fly ball to right. Jay Bruce coming in. He makes the catch. So Josh Thole, who got a pinch hit at bat in last night's game, actually came in defensively. He had an at bat later on in the game. So it'll be Thole, the catcher, batting in the 8th spot. National League Ballpark, no DH for the Blue Jays. R.A. Dickey will bat next.
That's tough if you're the Blue Jays trying to do anything offensively in this situation with the pitcher on deck. Can't really hit and run. Tough to steal on Johnny Cueto. And just not much you can do. So you just, as a hitter, you want to get on base and then let the pitcher bunt both of them in the scoring position.
Ball on a strike. There's a little flare, and Phillips thought about letting the ball drop, but he makes the catch, and Thole's retired. Johnny Cueto is baseball's best in several categories, and you see where he ranks in the major leagues. He's first in ERA, first in opponent's batting average, first in WHIP. Runners per 9 innings, he's allowed just 7.9. and opponent's OPS just over 500. He's had a remarkable start to his season, and the unfortunate thing for Johnny Cueto is he's 6-5.
Yeah, his first 9 starts were as good as anybody in the history of baseball, through at least 7 innings in every one of those starts. And at the end of those 9 starts, his record was just 4-2. They've blown 3 games for him while he was in the game, and then when he came out, the bullpen has coughed up 3 wins for him.
Ball on a strike, and Dickey may have forgotten he's going to hit. He was down at the other end of the dugout, and he had to grab his helmet and bat very quickly after Tolley was retired.
He hasn't been gone that long from the National League, has he?
I tell you what, he has 184 at bats as a National Leaguer. Last year he went 2 for 6 for the Blue Jays. He had a double and drove in a run. Taps this one back to the mound. Johnny Cueto will tag out Dickey, and that'll end the inning. The Blue Jays get Brett Flory on base. They strand the base runner. Cincinnati has a 1-0 lead. Got some more bad news. Brett Flory has been taken out of this game. During the break, George Poulos was checking on Brett Flory on his right hand. Jorge Rivera is there, and you can see when Poulos touched the area where he was hit, he had a lot of pain, so George pulled the plug and said, we got to get this checked out. So Laurie is out of the game for the second time on this trip, and Steve Collison has come in to play second base.
Wow. Unbelievable. He's been hit so many times on his hands. And you were just remarking in between the break right there that you're surprised that the injury isn't more severe, that he might have broken his finger.
Yeah, he had that back and it hit on the top of his knuckles on his right hand. And obviously when you get hit in the hand, the bones are so close to the surface that you can suffer a fracture. He had a broken hand in 2011 in the minor leagues. He was going to be called up earlier that season, broke his hand, and didn't join the team until August. Ryan Ludwig takes a strike. One more look at the pitch that hit Laurie.
Fastball inner half. He starts to go after it, and he just can't pull his hands back. And you see right on top of that finger and the knuckles right there. Felt that one.
As a base hit into right center. Bautista over to cut it off. Ryan Ludwig, the left fielder, with a leadoff single here in the second. I can speak from experience about where Brett Laurie got hit on that hand. I got hit on the same place catching with a foul tip. And it's the only broken bone I ever had in my playing career, catching. and it hit right on top of that third knuckle.
I can see it. From right here, I can see the difference in your hand, Buck, where you got hit there. So I hope it's not that bad.
So do I.
You know, that'd be unfortunate.
Yeah, that knocked me out for the rest of the season. I got hit in July. Foul tip. Catcher Brian Pena. He's a switch hitter, batting left against Dickey. Pena is a nice pickup for this Cincinnati team. They got a good regular catcher in Mesoraco. Devin Mesoraco is just really starting out in his career, but this guy is a terrific mentor, not only for the catchers but for the pitchers. He has been on some great teams with good pitching staffs. When you look at Pena's career now, he's 32 years old. Signed originally with the Braves, spent 4 seasons in Atlanta, 4 seasons in Kansas City, and last year with the Detroit Tigers.
He caught that pitching staff. He knows how to get ready for a ball game. He's a switch hitter.
Hit and run was on there, and he fouled it into the seats.
You and I were speaking to Jay Bell, the bench coach for the Reds yesterday, and he was raving about Pena as a leader in that clubhouse. And every day he comes ready to win a ball game and help his team win. Those are the kind of guys you need on your team.
Pena grew up as the best friend of Yunel Escobar in Cuba. And they both signed with the Braves and got to the big leagues together. Pena taught himself how to speak English, and he speaks beautiful English by watching television. I mean, he's a self-motivated guy, and he really appreciates his lot in life. Line drive, Kawasaki makes the catch. Pena's return. Well, the Blue Jays were as hot as any team in baseball when they had that great stretch over 20 games. They went 20-4. But it turned around dramatically after getting off to a good start in June. They won their first 5 games in June.
That's right. And then the pitching has gone a little south. The hitting has gone south. You can see the ranks when it comes to the hitting part of it. 13th in the American League in batting average, and runs scored 13th. Tough to win games when you're not scoring runs. And John Gibbons has talked about, he said, we need to hit to win. That's how our ball club has been put together. We've got some thumpers in our lineup. It's unfortunate that they've gone cold together. But they need to hit to score runs and to win ball games.
Zach Cozart is the shortstop, and he's behind quickly 0-2. Since that St. Louis Cardinals series at Rogers Center, the Blue Jays have been outscored 71-46. And they have gone 4 straight series without winning a series. And you know what, as much as you talk about the pitching got off to a great start because the team was scoring about 7 runs a game. And now the pitching isn't that shutdown type of pitching that can overcome a lack of scoring. As they drive deep to right, Bautista quickly back. He reaches out to find the fence. He had plenty of room and makes the catch.
You know, and it's surprising how the offense has gone a little south right now. The Blue Jays built with a lot of power, but they have other ways of scoring runs, not just by the home run. So that's been a little bit of a mystery over the last couple of weeks. Francisco was hot. Encarnacion has been hot and cold. Colby Rasmus back off the disabled list. He's swinging a hot bat. What you want to do is you want to get about 4 or 5 guys all hot together. Bunch them together in that lineup. Then take your chances.
Johnny Cueto is 4 for 34. He doesn't have an extra base hit. And now he's behind 0-2. It's this ball to right. Bautista was shaded near the line. It's into the seats, out of play.
Cueto was right on top of that plate, just like a lot of the other hitters for the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, you can get on top of the plate because the knuckleball isn't very hard. 80 miles an hour at tops, and you don't have to really extend your arms to get out in front. So they can crowd Dickey and really get up on top of that dish. There's a fly ball, shallow left. Kawasaki back. He makes the catch, and Cueto's retired. Reds strand a base runner. They'll go to the third. Cincinnati has a 1-0 lead for Johnny Cueto. Sportsnet.ca cover every angle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking news, photos, videos, and tweets. A one-stop shop for everything Blue Jays. The Blue Jays Rundown. Only on Sportsnet.ca. Jay Happ is featured in the Rundown today, talking about fifth starters. Jay Happ had a disappointing outing here yesterday as he lasted just 4 innings, and it unraveled quickly after getting 2 outs. He walked 4 batters in the first inning and never really recovered.
Started nibbling on the corners, and the Reds were not biting. He ended up walking 4 in that first inning. Threw 99 pitches in 4 innings.
I can remember Pete Rose in spring training standing at the top step, and one of my pitchers with the Royals was nibbling, and he was screaming, "Fish ain't biting today." He competed every minute he was in uniform.
They weren't biting yesterday either, I'll tell you.
Fish aren't biting. Top of the order, Munenori Kawasaki starting at shortstop in place of the injured Jose Reyes. Reyes is not believed to be serious. He fouled the ball off his leg yesterday and will probably be back in the lineup tomorrow.
So the bench gets a little bit shorter this afternoon.
And Steve Tolleson is into the game in replacing Brett Lawrie, so now they just have 4 players on the bench and probably stay away from Jose Reyes. And Lynn can only pinch hit. He's been lifted for a pinch runner each of his 2 appearances here in this series. Reyes has played an awful lot, and he was probably just kind of run down to begin with, and then he fouled the ball off his leg in yesterday's game.
They were playing for the longest time without a true backup shortstop, so he was playing every inning of every game. So it might be a blessing that he's out of the lineup and give him a little bit of a blow.
Kawasaki pulls it to Joey Votto, who misses Johnny Cueto. Threw it right behind him. Votto really threw it quickly, and there was no need to throw it that quickly.
You are absolutely right. He had plenty of time to take his time, set his feet, even crow hop just a little bit so he can be a little bit more accurate with that throw. He caught it and threw it flat-footed. Johnny Cueto, the pitcher, is taught to get over to the line and then come up the line and get the good angle. You can see Votto catches it and throws it flat-footed. And he would have been out by a mile, but he Air mails it over the head of Johnny Cueto, and the first batter is on here in the third.
It's an air to Votto. Just the 29th air the Reds have committed this season, but it starts the inning for the Blue Jays. Melky Cabrera fouls it back into the crowd. Cabrera struck out on a good Cueto changeup his first time. Melky just under 300 for the season. There's a base hit to right field. Kawasaki is going to stop at second. Jay Bruce hustles it back in, so the air starts the inning. And now Melky Cabrera singles to right. The Blue Jays have seen their lead dwindle to a game and a half in the American League East. The Yankees will be at Rogers Center for a 3-game series starting tomorrow. Yankees are a game and a half back, Orioles 2.5 back. The Red Sox still 7 games under 500.
Tough part of the schedule right here. Then the White Sox and Brewers come in and then back out on the road. So Blue Jays have to get it together. On this road trip, I look back, that was just the 3rd error committed against the Blue Jays this road trip. So they have to take advantage of that.
And Bautista bunts it to the third base side, and Cueto bobbled it, but still makes it close at first. It looked like it was going to be much closer than that. Bautista hustled down the line and gets aboard, and now he's limping down at first base.
Yeah, Jose, after he turned around when he walked or ran through the base, he is walking gingerly back to the bag.
Well, he sure was. When he first turned around and walked back toward first, he was limping. Now Brian Price, the manager, out to talk to Rob Drake. But Bautista, what a heads-up play this is.
Yeah, he's going to do this on his own, obviously. He sees that the ball is down. It's going to be close at first base. And he hustles down there. You see him grimace just a little bit. I don't want to speculate, but is that a hamstring or a back or something like that? You can see him. That is very gingerly walking back to first base. I don't know if he jammed something when he hit the bag right there. But once he slowed down, you can see there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, it's a very pronounced limp as he was coming back, and now he's stretching out his right hamstring. So you hope it's nothing more significant than something like that. He's attending to his knee as well, but hopefully he's okay.
Don't want to see that because there's really no backup outfielder on the team right now.
Well, the play is being reviewed now by the umpiring crew. Rob Drake made the call. He's on the right. The crew chief is Joe West. He will join in on the conversation. Here's the play at first. Bautista's foot. Boy, it's close at first. Bang, bang. And Joey Votto didn't stretch to that baseball at all. Yeah, he stretches to the baseball toward the throw. He saves about 2 feet.
Look where his foot is on the bag. It's on the outside part of the bag and furthest away from where the ball is coming. You want to put your left foot on the inside part of that bag, closest to home plate, and then stretch if you can to where the ball is. So it was a good throw by Cueto. Had plenty of time to get him. But you're right. Look at Votto where he is. He's on the outside, the back part right there, and it looked like this one's going to be close. But you can see he's on the back part of the bag, and that gave Bautista a couple of extra split seconds to possibly beat this out.
The ruling on the field is that Bautista is safe at first. It has been ruled a sacrifice bunt, err on the pitcher, Johnny Cueto, and we're talking about the best fielding team in baseball. And they have called him safe. So the play on the field is upheld by the review. So Bautista credit with the sacrifice bunt. Cueto charged with an error. He bobbled the bunt before he made the throw to first. It's the first sacrifice since 2009 for Bautista.
Well, again, you got to take advantage of it when a team that doesn't make many mistakes gives you an opening here.
Made 2 errors in the inning. Bases loaded for Encarnacion. Jays are down 1-0. Edwin with a 2-homer game Friday night. 2 home runs. He drove in 6 against his former team.
Well, if you're the Blue Jays, I don't think you could ask for a better guy at the plate. He's driven in your most runs this year.
There's a blooper into shallow center, and it is caught by Cozart. Oh, what a nice play by the shortstop. He never gave up on it. Got back deep enough to make the catch.
He was stationed at double play depth, so he was in just a little bit. I didn't think he had any shot at making this play off of Encarnacion's bat, but he didn't give up. Ran that one down, and all the runners have to hold.
Good play by Cozart. That's the first out of the inning. Now the double play is in order. Colby Rasmus struck out his first timer. There's a base hit through the right side. Kawasaki's in to score. Cabrera's being waved home. The throw is offline and late. And Colby Rasmus has given the Blue Jays a 2-1 lead. Going after the first pitch, he hooked it through the right side of the infield, and they cash in 2.
When you're up against a tough pitcher like Cueto, he throws you a strike, you better be ready to swing it. And the way Colby's been swinging, he's been hot. He hasn't been trying to do too much. He punches this ball through the right side, pulls the hands through, and gets enough of it to get it into right field. And the throw was offline by Jay Bruce. They had a shot at getting Cabrera, and now Bautista's going to walk off the field. Something's not right with him.
Yep. And we saw him go down the first base line. And he was attending to his right leg, whether it's a hamstring or a knee, we don't know, but he's out of the game. Brett Lawrie was out of the game last inning. Now Bautista leaves, and Reyes is pressed into action.
That is not a good sign right there. You see him hobbling down the steps, not wanting to put a lot of weight on that leg. Don't know if it's a knee. I mean, he was stretching his knee like he did something when he hit the bag.
Obviously, Bautista has played every day, and now he's out of the lineup. Reyes was out of the lineup initially, and he's forced into action. There's a ground ball up the middle. Cozart will flip to second for 1. Back to first. One a double play. Brandon Phillips grabbed the ball barehanded and pivoted and threw out Tolleson to end the inning. But the Blue Jays have taken the lead, but they've lost 2 regulars. day. Sportsnet breaks it all down for you. Jeff Merrick hosts a special Hockey Central special, the 2014-15 NHL schedule. It all begins at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, tonight on Sportsnet. Well, the Blue Jays have had a rough day already. Jose Bautista had to leave the game as a runner. He was at second base. He bunted a ball, hustled up the first baseline, and then began to limp. And now you can see he's very concerned about that right leg. We're not sure if it's a knee, a hamstring, or what, but obviously he's in some pain. Brett Laurie was out earlier. Kawasaki, who started at short, takes over at second. Reyes comes into the game as a pinch runner. He's at short. Tollison, who was at second in place of Brett Laurie, goes into right field.
And the phone lines are burning up right now if you're the Blue Jays, thinking about tomorrow.
Leadoff man Skip Schumacher was hit by a pitch in the first inning. Well, it is interesting how quickly your fortunes can change in a baseball season. It looked like a hit by pitch, nothing really special, but Laurie had to leave the game, and I'm sure he's getting x-rays now. Now Bautista leaves the game with a leg injury of some sort. Two regulars out of the lineup.
In both of those instances, Buck, when we watch them leave the field, it doesn't look like it's going to be a day or two. We're just hoping it's not a disabled list.
1-2 to Skip Schumacher. R.A. Dickey has allowed a run on 2 hits. As a bouncing ball to second. Kawasaki quickly to first. 1 down. Dickey's run is unearned. An error by Edwin Encarnacion dropped a throw from third base, contributing to the first inning run. The Blue Jays have made 6 errors on this road trip. They had played pretty good defense, and they made 3 errors here on Friday night. But 6 on the trip. This is the 10th game of this road trip. Pat Frazier takes the first pitch strike. Frazier reached on a fielder's choice and scored the Reds' run.
Looks like Dickey's knuckleball right now is really dancing. The Reds batters are having trouble picking up on it. It's got some late movement on it.
Ground ball to first. Easy play for Encarnacion. 2 down. Well, the Blue Jays really need a strong effort from R.A. Dickey. They've had a couple of short starts in this series. An inning and 2/3 on Friday night, 4 innings yesterday afternoon, and Dickey's got to pitch deep. He got into the 7th inning his last time out. With 2 outs, he had to leave the game with a leg injury. This is the 8th day since he last pitched, so he's had extra rest.
I'm with you, too. 5 relievers on Friday, 2 more yesterday. Rasmussen did a great job yesterday, giving John Gibbons 3 innings out of the bullpen, and then Loop a very clean 1 inning of work.
We spoke to Rob Rasmussen this morning and commended him for a good outing, and he was asked to give him 3 innings. He hadn't done that this year. And he didn't use that as an excuse. He said, I just made a couple of bad pitches in that 3rd inning.
I asked him if he was getting tired towards the end of that last inning. He said, no, I just made some bad pitches. And really, he just made the 1 bad pitch, the home run, to mess up his outing.
There's Rasmussen, who is the second left-hander in the bullpen with Brett Cecil on the DL. Aaron Loop pitched well last night in his inning of work. Votto takes a strike. Now 3-1, 3-2, 2 outs. We're in the 3rd inning. Cleanup man Brandon Phillips waits on deck. Votto takes ball 4. 2-out walk. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you, Jamie. Max Scherzer is on the mound for the Tigers, and Cabrera 2 for 2 already, home run number 13. And Miguel Cabrera has 60 RBIs now.
He had the big hit for him last night to help them win that game, and Tigers have won 3 in a row, and the team that they've overtaken in the standings, Kansas City, has lost 3 in a row after winning 10 straight.
Brandon Phillips, a big swing at the first pitch. Phillips reached on the air by Encarnacion. That extended the inning, and then he was thrown out trying to advance from first to third by Jose Bautista, the right fielder. Phillips was surprised by the throw. You mentioned the Royals have lost 3 in a row. Kansas City's loaded with young players, and it takes a while to get the feeling of being in first place, and you get up there for a while and you see it slip back, and now you got to regroup and put together another charge.
And they used to say you got to knock on the door first before you kick it in.
Another ground ball to third. Francisco looks at second, and they'll get the force there. The inning is over. Reds strand a base runner. Will go to the fourth. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead. Tuesday, July 1st, the Blue Jays will take on the Brewers. It's a 1:07 start. Come on down early and enjoy the pregame festivities happening outside Rogers Center. There's 20,000 fans who receive a Blue Jays bucket cap. Call the Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com to get your tickets for Canada Day. Come on out and celebrate by watching the Blue Jays take on the National League Central leading Milwaukee Brewers. It all starts at 1:07 p.m. Blue Jays will have a couple of day games next week. The Canada Day game and the following day on Wednesday will be a day game. So you have a chance to come on out and watch open air baseball on Canada Day. Blue Jay fans in attendance, as they always are when the Jays are on the road, and we saw a lot of fans out and about last night in downtown Cincinnati, having a good time.
Got the blue jerseys out there in enemy territory, and they're proud of them, proud of their Jays.
Tell you what, the Reds fans have been terrific hosts. I've heard nothing but positive things from the Blue Jay fans about their stay here in Cincinnati.
Well, would you expect anything less?
That wouldn't surprise you,
huh?
Being a native.
Not at all.
There's a slow breaking ball, and Francisco can't pull the trigger. That's the third strikeout for Johnny Cueto.
Put that one in the memory banks right there, because you're going to see more curveballs the next few times you're up against Cueto. He just can't pull the trigger on that curveball. Messes with his timing, and he's out number one here.
See that Cueto loves pitching in the afternoon. ERA under 1 pitching during day games. Josh Tolley takes it inside. Tolley popped out to the second baseman his first time up. This is pulled on the ground. Phillips right at the edge of the grass. 2 down.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Great American Ballpark, and right to the right of that shot is the Reds Hall of Fame. It's a terrific museum that really highlights the great franchise of the Cincinnati Reds. R.A. Dickey takes his strike. Dickey tapped back to the mound, his first at bat. Dickey is a career 184 hitter. He has 36 hits and 196 at bats coming into this game. Hits this one on the ground. Dickey with that leg problem would just jar halfway up the line. That's a wise move by Dickey. They need more as a pitcher than as a base runner. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead. Champions in 76. They were the Big Red Machine, 75 and 76, and they were led by Sparky Anderson, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Tony Perez, Lee May. Hall of Famer Sparky Anderson, Johnny Bench, 2-time MVP. Doggy, Tony Perez, 7-time All-Star. Joe Morgan, a Hall of Fame second baseman, and Pete Rose, the all-time hits leader. What a core of players they had here in the 70s.
They would win day in and day out. They didn't get the credit for the pitching staffs that they would have because they had these great players, everyday players. There's also Ken Griffey Sr. and Cesar Geronimo, George Foster, who was MVP in 1977. On those teams, David Concepcion, for me, is a Hall of Fame type of shortstop. It was the Big Red Machine.
George Sparky Anderson took over the Reds in 70, and they won 102 games his first year. 72, they won 95, 99 and 73, 98 and 74, 108 and 75. They were truly a machine, and they really did a great job. They finished first in the 70s 6 times.
First or second every year except 1971 when they had all the injuries that season. They lost a lot of players to injury. First or second every season but one in the 1970s.
Jay Bruce goes after the first pitch and fouls it out of play. But you talk about an iconic franchise. The Reds have always been associated with championships and winning.
And you know how many World Series championships they won in the decade? Just 2. They had great teams in the early 70s. They couldn't beat the Orioles in 1970. Lost to the A's in 72. Were upset by the Mets in 1973. Didn't win their first World Series championship of the decade until 75, that outstanding series against the Boston Red Sox.
Of course, that is really the signature moment of that World Series was the Carlton Fisk home run, and they lost.
And they lost that game. That's right.
0-2 to Jay Bruce. R.A. Dickey is making his 4th career start against Cincinnati. They've hit him well in the past. They have a .324 average against Dickey. There's a fly ball into right. Tollison is over, dives. It's off his glove. He can't make the play. Bruce is headed for second, and he'll get there standing up. His 11th double of the season goes off the glove of Steve Tollison.
And he keeps hitting Jay Bruce. You wonder if Jose Bautista's out there, if he doesn't make that catch. Not a knock on Steve Tollison. He's been an infielder pretty much his whole life. Didn't do anything wrong in going after this ball, but it's just, you got to figure maybe Bautista makes this to start the inning. They don't, and it's a leadoff double. Good try by Tollison.
Well, you know, having played in different positions, how uncomfortable you are when you're out of position. I mean, you're always thinking, please don't hit it to me. Please don't hit it to me. I don't want you to hit it to me. Let me get through this game without having to make any plays.
How did you know that that's what I was thinking about all the time?
I played in right field for 9 innings one day. And it is a frightening feeling. This is pulled through the left side. Bruce had to hold up, make sure that ball was through. Ryan Ludwig has his second hit.
You're right. It's a frightening feeling if you're not used to it. So you do the best you can. And right now, the Reds are doing the best they can, getting the first 2 runners on here in the 4th inning against Dickey.
In 1969, I'm playing for the Royals. I'm 20 years old. I had played on Saturday, wasn't scheduled to play on Sunday. Sam McDowell, the big left-hander, Sudden Sam, was pitching on Sunday. I went to the ballpark, and my name was penciled in the lineup in right field. I'd never played an inning in the majors anywhere other than catching. I played 9 innings in right field. And I was thinking, please don't hit it to me.
The ball gets to you quickly, doesn't it, out there? And you feel like you're out in
an ocean.
An ocean.
It's like the biggest field you've ever been in.
Yeah. When you're a catcher, you got to guard, what, 17 inches
That's
of the plate? Out there, you got that whole area. So the best thing to do is catch it when it stops rolling and to hit the cutoff man.
Up the middle, Reyes will flip to Kawasaki back to first. Double play. A run comes in. Bruce scores on the double play. Pena is out. A nifty double play started by Reyes right behind the bag at second.
He made a good feed to Kawasaki to make that double play. Back through the middle goes the ball, and you can see Reyes right here. Watch the feed. He throws it to him where he can catch it, find the bag, and still have enough to turn and make that throw. The second baseman, his back is almost to first base, but the throw was perfect, and Kawasaki did a good job of turning that.
But the Reds have tied it at 2-2. Shortstop Zach Cozart hitting with nobody on and 2 outs. Ball on a strike. Cozart strikes out, but the Reds have tied it. They score a run on a double play. We'll go to the 5th. It's 2-2. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker. Maxwell on this road trip, and it's reflected by their 3-6 record. But you can look to a couple of starts that they have had to deal with. Johnny Cueto here this afternoon, and Masahiro Tanaka Tuesday night in New York. Two of the best in baseball.
Yeah, if the season ended today, those two would win the Cy Young. One in the National League, one in the American League with these outstanding numbers. Look at the opponent batting average for Cueto, 169, and for Tanaka, just 216. They have also run into Kevin Gausman pitched a great game against him in Baltimore, and Tillman and Norris, and they've run in some good pitching on this road trip.
Blue Jays on the trip coming into this game have a 243 batting average. They've averaged 4 runs a game, and their ERA 5.5. So they have been up against it on this road trip.
And they're not going to make any excuses, none of them.
Kawasaki bunts it. Frazier gets there in time to throw him out. 1 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. So Kawasaki is the first out of the top half of the 5th. Now Melky Cabrera. Melky is 1 for 2. He singled and scored in the 3rd.
He likes what he sees from Johnny Cueto in his career.
He is 4 for 8 against Cueto.
No sense guessing with Cueto because he's got too much in that arsenal to get you out. Just see the ball.
High fastball, and Cabrera strikes out. A little bit extra on the heater from Cueto.
That's what he does. He'll pitch at 91 or 92, but if he needs to reach back for a little something extra and get it up to 96, he can do that. That time he went upstairs to get Cabrera.
4 strikeouts for Cueto. Jose Reyes will bat for the first time. He came into the ballgame as a pinch runner for Jose Bautista in the 3rd. Reyes has had a tough road trip. He homered against Tanaka on Tuesday night, first pitch of the ballgame. And then since that, he has gone 1 for 22 with 4 strikeouts. So he has had a tough road trip.
They have just stayed away from him also. Everything away against Jose.
Overall in the 10-game road trip, he's batting 179. His last 8 games, a 171 average. 0-2. Ryan Pena, who you characterized as the personal catcher of Johnny Cueto, took about 3 bullpen sessions this spring before he was comfortable picking up the baseball out of Cueto's delivery. He hides it very well, so you could imagine the challenges of the Blue Jay hitters facing Cueto in a one-and-done situation.
He's got that turn, then he throws that glove at you, and all of a sudden the ball comes out of his shoulder and it's right on top of you. It's a very unique wind-up and delivery from Johnny Cueto. But we've seen this before. Louis Tiant years ago.
These hitters haven't seen it before. No. Not Louis Tiant, at least.
Not unless they're watching nostalgia film clips.
It was funny. Chris Welch, the radio color broadcaster for the Reds, in talking about Cueto, said, Johnny Cueto, it's a little bit like Louis Tiant. He goes, I don't even think Johnny Cueto knows who Louis Tiant is. But for some of you longtime baseball fans, you'll see the similarities with Cueto in that delivery where he turns his back on the hitter. Upstairs, Reyes will take a walk. Take a look at the Cincinnati natives that have really come into their own as ball players. These two guys grew up in the Reds organization, Encarnacion and Francisco, and you can see Edwin played here 514 games and really had some ups and downs. He was a third baseman when he was here.
Yeah, and they tried him in the outfield, and luckily for the Blue Jays, thankfully they let them go here in the Queen City. And they are now in Cincinnati, or excuse me, now in Toronto, doing their thing.
Edwin has really blossomed into a star since he's come to the Blue Jays. And it wasn't all easy for Encarnacion. You can remember he was designated for assignment. He was sent to the minor leagues. He had to go back to AAA Las Vegas. The Oakland A's claimed him. Blue Jays were fortunate to get him back.
Yeah, they let him go also. And I remember when Edwin went down to AAA, and he wasn't there very long. He didn't sulk. He didn't complain. Talked to Chad Mottola, who was the hitting coach there, said he was a model citizen. He came down there and he worked hard. He really set a great example for those young players, and his whole goal was to get to the big leagues. And he raked down there. He hit something like 400, and he was right back in the big leagues maybe 8 or 9 days later.
Yeah, and you can feel sorry for yourself, but there's nobody else in baseball that will.
Nope.
You got to go to work.
Got to have the right attitude if you get sent down. You're not the last guy to be sent down, or the first. That happens.
Encarnacion chases one in the dirt. Pena will tag him up. That ends the inning. Johnny Cueto has 5 strikeouts through 5 innings. All-Star game is Tuesday, July 15th at Target Field in Minnesota. Help make Jose Bautista, Jose Reyes, and Edwin Encarnacion starters for the American League. Fans are allowed to vote a maximum of 35 times per email address. Vote early, vote often. Vote in Blue Jays at BlueJays.com. Edwin Encarnacion leading the major leagues in RBIs, and he is tied with 23 home runs. So make sure you log online and cast your vote for Encarnacion, Reyes, Cabrera, and Bautista. Send them all to the All-Star game. R.A. Dickey set to start the 5th. He'll deal with his mound opponent, Johnny Cueto. Cueto taking all the way.
Doesn't look real interested in swinging the bat, does he?
I think he really had an idea that he wanted to bunt. Let's see. He's going to bunt that one. And he gets it down in a good spot, and he ends up with a base hit. Boy, you talk about a decoy. Looked like he was just up there, and he was going to take another strike, and he popped up a bunt right in front of the second baseman, and Dickey made a desperation swipe at it. But Johnny Cueto gets a base hit.
Boy, he lulled him to sleep on the first one, and then the second one, he just pushes it out there and sprints down the line. What a play by Dickey to try and get the runner over at first base. Just shovels it over to Encarnacion, but Cueto, lulling the Blue Jays to sleep, gets an infield hit.
So Cueto's aboard, leadoff man here in this tie game. Skip Schumacher was hit by a pitch and grounded out. Schumacher bunts it right back to Dickey. He will look at second and go to first to take the out.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
When the team is going to sacrifice, you got to get an out. This is a three-hopper back to Dickey, and it looks like Cueto is only halfway there. He's got an excellent shot, but he chooses to get the runner over at first base. Again, when a team gives you an out, you better get an out. Doesn't matter where you get it, but it looked like he had a shot at second.
Todd Frazier, the number 2 batter. Frazier's 0 for 2 so far. 16 home runs for the Reds' third baseman. He might be destined to go to the All-Star game. He's had a fine season, and he's one of these young Reds that's really starting to develop into a premier player.
Yeah, he's got 42 RBIs also, which is pretty impressive. Leads the Reds in homers, RBIs, and runs scored.
This is a deep drive to right. Tollefson back on the track. This ball is gone. An opposite field 2-run home run for Todd Frazier. The home run ball continues to plague R.A. Dickey. You can see Frazier had to slow down. It looked like Johnny Cueto hurt himself running around the bases. And he's hitting his right hamstring that suggests maybe he strained a hamstring on a home run trot.
Maybe he didn't think that ball was going to get out. And there's some concern as he enters the dugout. Knuckleball by Frazier. He's hitting the ball hard to right field, and this time sends one to right. It just takes off.
And there's a base hit for Joey Votto right behind the home run.
Let's take a look at Cueto at first base. The ISO. He's at second base. He's not real sure. Now he takes off and sees that it's a home run. Maybe he was just breaking it down just a little bit, save some energy.
Looked like he was grabbing his right hamstring. The trainer is checking on him right now. Jeff Pico is the pitching coach. He too is concerned with Johnny Cueto. Watch him at third base there. Yeah, he felt something in that right leg, and then he started to hobble around third, and he stops. So there is a concern with Cueto.
Looks like the Reds have sent up a pinch hitter, Santiago.
Ramon Santiago batting for Brandon Phillips. They're going down like flies here.
My goodness. It's a hot afternoon.
It's not that hot.
Well, we're in the shade, and we've got air conditioning in the room. I've been here in this town this time of year. It is hot and it's muggy, and you can cramp up very easily.
Santiago started in yesterday's game at shortstop. Remember, Brandon Phillips fouled the ball off his foot early in the ball game. And you just don't know if that's the reason he left the game. But Santiago was the starting shortstop in yesterday's game. He finished up 2 for 4 in that game and scored a run. And he is called out on strikes.
You know, Buck, watching that replay of Cueto, didn't look like he did anything to pull his hamstring. Maybe he just got a little bit of a cramp or a Charlie horse or something in that lower leg.
It certainly wasn't going fast enough to make you think that,
that he hurt it.
Pulled the muscle.
Between second and third, though, he felt something and almost walked home.
Jay Bruce had a perfect start to his day, 2 for 2. RBI single in the first and a double as the leadoff man in the fourth. Ball and a strike to the Reds right fielder. R.A. Dickey has now surrendered a home run in 7 straight starts. This is a very difficult pitcher's ballpark. That was a fly ball. I mean, no getting around it. It was a fly ball to right field that just carried into the first row. There's a ball into center. Rasmus is there. The inning is over, but the Reds have taken a 4-2 lead. 2-run home run by Todd Frazier, his 17th. Run yesterday off Mike Leake leading off the 7th, and Rasmus has 10 home runs, and it looks to me like he likes it down and in.
Yeah, he is a low ball hitter, that is for sure. Fastball, slider, curve, it doesn't matter if it's low, below that line in the middle of that box right there, he can hit it hard. Now, we saw Cueto pitch him fastballs up his first time up, and Rasmus struck out, and then he singled. He didn't wait for anything to get up in the strike zone, so Rasmus loves it down low. We'll watch Cueto see if he climbs the ladder on Colby in this at-bat.
They struck out Rasmus on a high fastball in the first inning, and then gave up that 2-run single to Rasmus in the 3rd. Well, we got a lot of substitutions going on. Santiago pinch hit for Brandon Phillips. He takes over defensively at second base. The Blue Jays have lost Red Laurie and Jose Bautista to injuries, and we have not been updated as to their status or the nature of their injuries. There's Santiago at second. He was the starting shortstop yesterday. It'll be Rasmus, Tollefson, and Francisco for the Blue Jays. That's a foul outside of first. Ball on the strike to Rasmus, leading off the top of the 6th. Way outside.
I don't know if he's right.
Yeah,
I'm watching.
Had the leg problem, and he took the mound, and there was some concern in the dugout. It doesn't appear as though he is favoring the leg at all.
That first ball was hit down the right side there. He had to get over to cover first base and was very nonchalant in getting back.
In the half inning, third baseman Todd Frazier comes over and has a visit. And watch the end of this conversation. You're the man. Let's go. We need you out here. And Frazier has truly become the leader of this team.
Yeah, he really has. He'll speak his mind and tell it the way it is. Just his third year in the big leagues. Yeah. It's like, Johnny, you're our number one guy. If you're not hurt, take us to the promised land. We need you.
There's a drive to right. Jay Bruce over to cut it off. Rasmus will stop at first. His second hit of the afternoon. A leadoff single here in the sixth.
And where was that ball? It was down once again. And Colby Rasmus came into this game hitting over 300 in his career against Johnny Cueto. He had the most at-bats against him of anybody on the Blue Jays. Watch again where this ball is, down, right in his hot zone, and he golfs it into right field for a hit.
Colby looks like he hasn't missed a beat coming off the disabled list. He is now 8 for 20 since his return. Tollison bounces it to third. Frazier goes to first. Rasmus moves up on the play. So with one out and a man at second, Juan Francisco will bat. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout so far, and they have picked up on his weakness here in Cincinnati.
Well, if you remember his last at bat, you could see why they went to a lot of curveballs, a lot of slow breaking balls, because 35% of the time when he sees those breaking balls, he's hitting 0.85 against them. And the changeup, a respectable almost 270. Loves the fastball, almost 330 with that. The scouting report says throw him some slow stuff, throw him a lot of breaking balls, and you'll have success against him. What Juan has to do, I think, right now is recognize a strike on that breaking ball, because he's going to get a lot of them.
Right back to the mound, and Rasmus is hung up between second and third. Frazier will run him back and tag him out as Colby, too aggressive off second, got hung up. Cueto knocked the ball down and then ran right toward Rasmus as he was hung up between second and third.
1-5 in the scorebook. Right there, you're the runner at second base. You're the runner in scoring position. You got to make sure the ball gets by the pitcher. When he knocks it down, he thinks he can get there. But Cueto got on that thing quickly and finished it off by Frazier. Flipping it over to the third baseman. Now he's going to run it back to the base where he came from and then tag him out to finish it off.
2 outs now. Francisco's at first. Josh Tolley, the catcher, batting 8th. This has not been a good trip for the Blue Jays in many aspects. Base running, defense. They've made base running mistakes. They have been over aggressive as if they're trying to force the issue when it's not necessary. Tolley with a big cut. It's a ball in the strike. But they were so hot when they won 20 of 24. And now everything is kind of unraveled for them.
They hit, and they hit with runners in scoring position. That's another thing that they have struggled with over the last couple of weeks. Coming up with that big base hit. They had no problem on Friday night. That was a thing of beauty.
Well, it was almost as if there was no pressure because they were down 8-0. And they just went up there and had good at-bats. And it wasn't as if they were saying, okay, we got to get a hit now. They were just kind of letting the game come to them. They had 9 walks in that game. Yeah. So Cincinnati contributed to that dramatic comeback. Tolley covers that outside pitch and stays alive.
Well, you know that Cueto wants to get Josh right here. He would be the third out, and then he can have that pitcher spot lead off next inning. So he's going to bear down a little bit harder.
Ground ball. Frazier at third will go across the diamond. Cueto is out of the top half of the 6th. He's got a 2-run lead, 4-2 Cincinnati. And are now available for free. It's Sportsnet Magazine's 2014 Stanley Cup Digital Edition. Go behind the scenes of the Kings' victory with photos, stories, and more. Get the free edition for your tablet now at sportsnet.ca. And we want to remind you that the NHL schedule will be released today, and Sportsnet will break it all down for you. It all starts tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The 2014-2015 NHL schedule comes out today, and Sportsnet will break it all down. R.A. Dickey back to start the 6th. Came out of his last start at Baltimore, going 6 2/3. He had a leg issue, he had a strained groin, and came out of that game. So he got extra rest into this start. It has been 8 days since he last pitched. That was on Saturday at Baltimore. Had a good outing, 6 2/3. He allowed 3 runs, 2 earned runs on 6 hits.
Buck, we got an update, don't we, on the 2 injured players?
Yep. Brett Lawrie, x-rays have shown a fractured right index finger, and you were right, it was on that finger, so he will be going on a disabled list. As far as Bautista, he has hamstring tightness. They will evaluate him once they get home to Toronto. So disappointing news for the Blue Jays. They have injuries to 2 of their regulars, and Brett Lawrie obviously is going to go on a disabled list with a broken right index finger.
He homered here the other day. He set a career high with his 12th home run. He was starting to hit the ball with a little bit more authority and power, and that is bad news.
Brian Ludwig strikes out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Well, that's a big AL East battle. Baltimore in New York. Tillman against Tanaka. And Chris Tillman, young right-hander, has been staked to an early lead. Jonathan Scope, his 6th home run of the season, his 20th RBI. We saw the last time out, home run didn't phase Tanaka one bit. He gave up a home run to Jose Reyes on the first pitch of the ball game and beat the Blue Jays 3-1.
That was on a fastball, and you know what he said? Well, I don't have my fastball today. I'll go to my other 6 or 7 pitches and see how that works.
Yeah, I'm going to shelve the fastball for a while. Sure enough, it worked. Brian Pena, the switch hitting catcher, has gone 0 for 2. Cued off the end of the bat. Francisco at third in time.
Canon's Best in Glass sales event. Performance cameras and lenses at the season's best prices. Visit canon.ca/bestinglass.
Right next door to Great American Ballpark is the home of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Paul Brown Stadium. The great Paul Brown that named after the Bengals. They're in the playoffs every year, aren't they now? 3 years in a row they've been in the playoffs.
They are pretty good. That was a beautiful shot of that stadium. And they have done a nice job with their facilities right downtown.
Do you know who I took to that stadium one time for a Bears game? He's sitting right next to you.
He's been there. The great Scott Carson got a chance to see the Bears Bengals. And of course, he is the biggest Bears fan in the world.
How'd that turn out? Bengals scored on their first 4 possessions, and Scotty went into a coma.
Yeah. That didn't work out very well. But it is a beautiful stadium in a great city. Blue Jay fans have been very complimentary of their time here in Cincinnati. Zach Cozart, the shortstop, hits it up the middle. A 2-out base hit for Cozart, his first of the afternoon. Eight hits now for the Reds.
Look at who's on deck. Nobody.
Johnny Cueto is late coming to the party. Well, pitchers will have a tendency of sitting in the dugout as long as they can. It's surprising that opposing teams don't demand that they stand out there.
Yeah.
Just, you have to have a man on deck.
Well, just sit down in the dugout in the shade and stay cool. If the guy makes it out, just pick up your glove and go out and pitch. If he gets a hit, then you got to go to the bat rack, find your bat, get your helmet, and take it up to the plate.
2 outs. Cueto had a bunt single and came around to score on the home run by Todd Frazier. That was in the 5th. He takes a strike. It's 1-1. Cueto lines it, and there's Kawasaki. He hit it hard. Kawasaki made a nice catch on the line drive. The Reds strand the base runner. We'll go to the 7th. The Blue Jays trail by 2. Kawasaki has played well in the field since he's rejoined the Blue Jays. The game is brought to you by Hungry Man. Try new pulled pork.
Cincinnati Reds, the best fielding team in the American League, coming into this game with just 28 errors. They've also turned 50 double plays, and this is a pretty one. Number 51. Brandon Phillips, the Gold Glove second baseman, is going to take the throw from Cozart with the bare hand and finish it off over at first base with Joey Votto, our play of the day.
They have committed 2 errors, but they showed you why they are the best fielding team in baseball with that great double play.
Been watching Brandon Phillips do that for years here in Cincinnati. The way he plays around the bag, he creates a lot of plays right while they're doing it. That one right there, he said, I have no time to catch it with the glove and transfer. I'll just catch it with my bare hand and finish it off.
It was interesting. Brandon Phillips was a key part of the trade from Montreal to Cleveland. But then when he came to Cincinnati from Cleveland, he was traded for a player to be named later. He had fallen out of favor with the Indians, but has found a home here in Cincinnati. Ari Dickey hits the fly ball to center. Schumacher is there. Dickey's out.
Yeah, the Indians sent him down. And he was claimed, and they worked out a trade, and that was a nice steal for the Reds. He's turned into a very good player.
Phillips is a 4-time Gold Glover, 3-time All-Star. Been 9 years in Cincinnati now. Top of the order for the Blue Jays. Munenori Kawasaki has gone 0 for 3. He reached on an error and scored in the 3rd. In case you're just joining us, we got some bad news. Brett Lawrie has been hit by a pitch and he fractured his right index finger. Jose Bautista also left the game with hamstring tightness. He will be evaluated once the Blue Jays get back to Toronto. But they lost 2 regulars, and one of them for sure is going on the disabled list.
Yeah, and I believe Bautista is going to have an MRI tomorrow, and we'll know the rest of the injury to that. It didn't look good when he left the field, I'll tell you that. Looked like he was walking very easily down that steps, now back down into the clubhouse. Things the manager has to think about.
1-2 now. 2-2. He is never really prepared for what can happen in the course of a game. And lose 2 regular players in the same game is a real blow.
And then the guy who was getting a day off because he fouled a ball off of his knee has to come into the ball game after that injury.
Well, Reyes has said all along he was okay, and he has always said that he is not tired, not worn down. He said, we got an off day last Monday in New York. I was fine. I was home with my family. Everything is good. And he told you yesterday that he could play.
Yeah, this morning I ran into him in the tunnel underneath the ballpark, and he said he was okay.
Kawasaki strikes out. That's 6 strikeouts for Cueto.
He's got a little bit of everything to try and get you out. This is what Cueto will feature. He got Melky Cabrera with a changeup. That was back in the first inning. Then he elevated against Colby Rasmus. Slow curveball to get Juan Francisco. He elevated that time against Melky also, and then a slider to get Encarnacion. He's got so many different pitches, so many ways, and he throws it for a strike a lot of times. You can see why the batting average against is one of the best in baseball. The ERA is the finest in the National League. He's been an all-star the first part of this season.
Cueto with 6 strikeouts now has 117 for the season. He trails only Steven Strasburg of the Nationals in that department in the National League. Melky Cabrera has struck out twice against Cueto.
You know, Buck, also doing it in this ballpark, which is a hitter's ballpark. We've seen that for sure in the 3 days that we have spent here in Cincinnati. This is a hitter's ballpark deluxe. And he's made it look easy.
Well, he sure has, and he's done a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark, and striking out people will help you do that. He's only allowed 8 home runs. Ground ball. Nice play by Frazier on his feet in time, and Melky Cabrera says no way. John Gibbons is out of the dugout. Cabrera, as soon as he stepped on the bag, turned around and waved safe. John Gibbons is going to come out and plead the case.
Melky's going to stay right at first base. It looked like he beat that throw. John Gibbons is going to get the thumbs up from the bench. We'll get a chance to look at a great play by Frazier to catch it and then very quickly get up and throw a strike over to first base. With that quick replay right there. Let's see this one as they slow it down. I think he's safe.
Difficult to tell. They're going to go to the replay. Rob Drake, the first base umpire, will go to the replay. Here's another look. Watch the baseball into the glove of Votto. Cabrera stretches for the bag. Ball still not in his glove. Does it come down on top of the base before the ball hits the glove? Wow, that is very close. Again, if Melky Cabrera steps on the front of the base, it's not even close. But he stepped on the back of the base.
Yeah, the middle to the back. And he's called out, so there's got to be evidence, clear evidence, that his foot was on the bag before the ball went in the glove. The Reds think that he's out. They watch the replay here on the scoreboard, and they all think that Melky's going to be called out. A couple of them have started headed to the dugout.
Well, it's important. Obviously, it's a 2-run game. If you have Melky at first, Reyes comes to plate representing the tying run.
Clear evidence that his foot is on the bag before the ball is in the glove. Here comes the ball. You can see he's stepping towards the middle to the back end.
It's not concise, clear evidence that he is safe. It's so close that you have to have a convincing replay to tell you that the play on the field was incorrect.
And it looked too close to call right there.
Isn't it amazing how many of these plays are created because a baseball player does something wrong? If he goes for the front of the bag, it's no question. We saw it earlier with Joey Votto on a stretch. He didn't stretch out and meet the baseball. Cost him a play. And for years we have criticized umpires because of a bobble the player made and made a bang-bang play at first. But this replay was put in place to get it right. And that has been the decision. And they have a decision from New York. And they call him safe. So they do overturn the call at first. Melky Cabrera with his second hit. And a review in New York. They were able to determine he beat the throw. So it'll be a 2-out single for Cabrera. And that'll bring Reyes to the plate, representing the tying run.
Blue Jays keep the challenge.
Melky Cabrera with 27 multi-hit games now. Reyes walked in his only at-bat. That was in the 5th. Goes after that first pitch and pulls it foul. Reyes is just 4 for 18 against Johnny Cueto. Of course, they were both in the National League a long time, and they have seen each other a lot. This is popped up and playable. Brian Pena is called off by Todd Frazier, who comes down and finally ends the inning. The review extended the inning, but the Blue Jays leave a base runner. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Skip Schumacher will lead things off against Dickey when we come back. seconds for the biggest at-bats in every game-changing play. Blue Jays in 60 seconds after every game only on Sportsnet.ca. New York Yankees will be in Toronto tomorrow night to take on the Blue Jays, a 3-game series. The Yankees swept the Blue Jays at Yankee Stadium over this past week. Marcus Stroman will open things up on Monday against Chase Whitley. Mark Burley will go to the mound and face David Phelps on Tuesday. And Drew Hutchison will pitch for the Blue Jays against Hiroki Kuroda on Wednesday. So the Yankees are in town. The Blue Jays have a chance to answer that series in New York after they were swept at the hands of the Yankees.
Payback time, if you will, if you're the Blue Jays. They did not play well in New York. New York didn't beat themselves, and they made pitches when they had to. Looks like the Blue Jays, at least for the first game, look like they might be down 2 regulars tomorrow night, but we'll see. Any way you look at it, though, it's going to be tough with the Yankees. They know how to play, and they know how to win.
Well, Blue Jays are just going to have to dig their heels in. They have a 1.5 game lead over New York. They trailed the Reds 4-2 now. We are in the bottom of the 7th. Top of the order for Cincinnati. Schumacher, Frazier, and Votto. Schumacher goes after the first pitch. Billy Hamilton, the leadoff man, getting a day off here today. Schumacher filling in. The Reds have a nice bench.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a weapon to have on your bench if he doesn't start in a tight, close ball game, to bring him in as a pinch runner. You get a guy on, he's going to be on third base before you know it.
You got a switch-hitting catcher as a backup and a switch-hitting middle infielder as a backup, and Skip Schumacher, who's been a regular outfielder and an infielder. I mean, that's versatility on your bench.
Heisey, we haven't seen Heisey at all this series. He's an outfielder, right-handed hitting outfielder. He's a nice player.
There's Billy Hamilton. He with 30 stolen bases. He gets the day off, and he has been exciting for Cincinnati. He came up last year at the end of the season during the pennant drive and had 15 steals. Schumacher strikes out. That's one down. Time now for the drive of the game. It's brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
5th inning. Todd Frazier sends the ball to right field. It's going to end up being in the first row. Caught by a fan for his 17th home run, and right now the difference in the ballgame, that 2-run home run in the 5th inning.
Todd Frazier jumps back from an inside pitch. We've been informed that Brandon Phillips, the Reds' second baseman, left the game with a bruised right heel. So he's out of the ball game. Two and 0.
I think R.A. Dickey might have said something to the home plate umpire, and Josh Tolley did an outstanding job of getting right out there and in front of him.
Marty Foster, the home plate umpire, now John with the Blue Jays dugout. Dickey asked if the ball was low on that last pitch, and Marty Foster took exception to it and went around to Josh Tolley to holler at Dickey, and Tolley jumped in between to intervene.
What a great job. Watch it one more time. Dickey thinks he has a strike. He can't believe it. Says something. And then Josh got right in between his starter and the umpire to diffuse that situation.
Three and 1. Dickey has pitched well here this afternoon. The only flaw really was that 2-run home run to Frazier in the 5th. There's ball 4. Second walk that Dickey has issued here this afternoon. Joey Votto had the other walk.
Here it is right here. Let's take a look at it one more time. A pitch he thinks is a strike, and watch Josh Tolley very alertly realizing the situation and gets out there and blocks off the umpire. So he doesn't go out there and keeps his starter in the game.
Votto takes his strike. ball into center. Rasmus all the way back to the warning track. That ball carried a long way. The Roberto Alomar and Friends Charity Home Run Derby is in support of Jays Care Foundation. It'll take place Sunday, July 6th at Matt Bailey Stadium in Vancouver. Join Roberto Alomar, Jesse Barfield, Lloyd Mosby, and Devon White. Take batting practice with some Blue Jay legends. For more information, log online at bluejays.com/JaysCare. The Roberto Alomar and Friends Charity Home Run Derby. Ramon Santiago took over for Brandon Phillips, who left with a bruised heel. Santiago struck out in the 5th as a pinch hitter. 2 down. A 1-2. Sergio Santos loosening up for the Jays. Strike 3 call. R.A. Dickey through the 7th inning. He's going in to talk to the home plate umpire right here. And Marty Foster and he will exchange some words after this inning. Dickey through 7. The Blue Jays trail by 2. Come to the plate here, leading off against Johnny Cueto on Thursday in New York against Sean Kelly with a man aboard. He got things going.
All it takes is one for Edwin Encarnacion, and then he might hit 5 or 6 in a week. That's a hanging breaking ball, part of his 2 homers, 6 RBI night here Friday. 3 home runs in 3 days. And with Jose Bautista now out of the lineup, we're not sure how long he's going to be out. Edwin becomes even more important to the Blue Jays.
Edwin, with that 2-homer night on Friday, has 6 multi-home run games this season. 5 of those coming in the month of May.
There are 4 teams in baseball who do not have a player who has hit a multi-homer game.
23 home runs and 62 driven in for the Blue Jays cleanup hitter. Jays are down by 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Johnny Cueto, another strong start for Cincinnati here this afternoon.
1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Pitching now into the 8th.
There's a deep drive to left field. Ludwig back at the track. This ball is gone. Edwin Encarnacion His third home run against his former team in this series, and just like that, it's a one-run game. Home run number 24 for Double E.
Wow. We saw him hit a curveball the other day. We saw him hit a fastball off of Matt Lotos that he went out there and got, and he pulled into the bleachers in left field. And this time against the best pitcher in the National League this season, Johnny Cueto. Encarnacion is going to take that inside breaking ball and hammer it down the line. The weight shift was perfect. The hands followed. Number 24 lands in the seats.
Only the 9th home run that Cueto has surrendered this year, and now he's got to deal with another home run hitter, Colby Rasmus.
Looked like a cutter. Watch the weight shift. He goes forward. The bat follows. He pulls his hands in, but he's so strong. He can get crowded on a pitch like that and still knock it out.
Rasmus is 2 for 3 this afternoon. He drove in a pair of runs into third. There's Brett Lawrie on the bench, and he has suffered a fractured finger, right index finger. So him sitting on the bench suggests that it's not a displaced fracture. It doesn't seem to be in a splint or anything, so that's as good a news as you could get. The indications he had a fractured right index finger. Two balls and 2 strikes, nobody out in the 8th. Blue Jays are down by a run. Rasmus homered yesterday off Mike Leake in the 7th. Cueto strikes him out.
Remember the home run chart we showed earlier in the ball game? Everything was down. That time everything was up by Johnny Cueto. He knew he wanted to attack him with a high fastball, and he finishes him off just like he did his first at bat with a fastball up. That's the difference between the big leagues and the minor leagues. You got guys up here in the major leagues that you can give them a game report in a scouting report how they can get guys out, and they can do it. They can execute a game plan.
Steve Tallison with his 3rd at bat. He took over for Brett Lawrie after Lawrie was hit by a pitch in the 2nd. Tallison came into the game as a defensive replacement. Jonathan Broxton, the big right-hander, loosening up for the Reds.
Brian Price was talking before the game about the importance of Cueto going deep into this game because his bullpen has been worn out. And he says a quality start. I don't want a quality start from my number 1. That's 6 innings. I need 8 from my guy. And give my bullpen a little bit of a blow.
Cueto is into the 8th. He has an out here. He's also given up a home run. Tallison, 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball on the inside corner. Cueto may have gotten the call there, and the Blue Jays dugout is barking at Marty Foster. Popped into the seats along the right side. You've been involved in those dugouts when the bench starts jockeying with the umpires, and one of the last things they will say with a Johnny Cueto on the mound is he doesn't need any help.
Doesn't need any help. Not with the numbers that he's put up this year. Plus, how about both ways? You know, just last inning, R.A. Dickey didn't think he got a call. This is a good long at bat right here by Tallison. Put a little extra stress on Cueto. His season high in pitches is 119. He did that in his last start.
Foul chipped, and Pena couldn't hold on to it. Donaldson is 4 for his last 31. And been struggling a bit at the plate. This is popped up on the infield. Zach Cozart, the shortstop, makes the catch. In case you're just joining us, we'll go back and look at the injuries. This is Brett Lawrie batting in the second against Johnny Cueto. He gets hit on that right hand. You can see that index finger. He would have to leave. And then Bautista in the third with this sacrifice bunt. After he passed the bag, he felt something in his hamstring, and he was removed from the game with right hamstring tightness. And you can see he is barely getting down the steps in the Blue Jays dugout. So John Gibbons has lost 2 regulars here this afternoon. Reyes had to come into the game for Bautista. Thomason entered the game for Lawrie. So they have 3 players on their bench: Lynn, Navarro, and Kratz.
And here they are hanging in against the best pitcher in the National League, Johnny Cueto, now by just 1 run. And this guy can certainly tie it with 1 swing.
Well, you can see the exaggerated target by Brian Pena. He wanted to make sure that breaking ball was down. If they throw him a fastball here, it'll shock me. They threw him a fastball on Friday night. Jumbo Diaz in his first major league inning tried to sneak a fastball by him, and Francisco hit an opposite field 2-run pinch hit home run, his 12th of the season.
Right after he swung through a couple of changeups and missed them.
Well, he got that one fastball and fouled it.
Let's take a look at it again. They fell behind 2-0, got back into it with a couple of breaking balls, and then tried to slip a fastball by him for some reason. He curls it around the foul pole down the left field line. That one really got the Blue Jays back into it and cut the deficit to 1 run.
This is a bandbox. The Blue Jays have enjoyed hitting here. They've hit 6 home runs in this ballpark in this series. You can see Coors Field, Rogers Center, and Great American Ballpark is the way they are ranked for giving up home runs.
Oh, and you could see Francisco really wind up and try and generate some bat speed.
Juan Francisco has hit one of the longest home runs in this ballpark. He cleared the sun porch in right. He and Adam Dunn are the only 2 hitters that have hit one out of this ballpark in right.
Probably bounced that one right into the Ohio River, didn't he?
Full count, 2 outs. The Blue Jays trail Johnny Cueto and the Reds by 1.
Cueto wants another baseball. He's got to throw him a breaking ball here.
Well, you've got to believe that Francisco is anxious to swing. Cueto crossed him up, looked like a cut fastball. He strikes out Francisco looking. Johnny Cueto, 8 strikeouts. 2 this inning. He protects a 1-run lead. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker. Released today, and Sportsnet will break it all down for you. Jeff Merrick hosts a special Hockey Central tonight, the 2014-15 NHL schedule. It all starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss out the announcement of the 2014-15 NHL schedule. Takes place tonight. R.A. Dickey back for the 8th inning. For Dickey, this will be the 3rd time he has pitched 7 or more innings. He had a 7-inning outing against Houston back in April. He went 8 1/3 against Oakland at Rogers Center. He ended up winning that ball game 5-2 to 113 pitches. His season high in pitches is 121. That took place on the 8th of May. This is popped up into left field. Cabrera coming on. The left fielder calls off the shortstop. Reyes makes the catch. Jay Bruce is retired.
That helps. You just mentioned all the pitches that Dickey threw, and you might be saying, well, why is he back out here after throwing 106 pitches here in the 8th inning? His spot comes up second next inning, and they need him to get through this inning so they can pinch hit for him.
Plus, the Blue Jays have had 2 very short starts in this series. An inning and 2/3 on Friday night. Jay Happ went 4 innings yesterday afternoon. The Blue Jays have a tough schedule coming up. The Yankees are in town for 3. Then the Red Sox are in town for 4. Excuse me, the White Sox. Big swing by Ryan Ludwig. The Pitch Tracker is brought to you by Acer, official partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Bottom of the 8th inning. It's a 1-run game. Cincinnati leads at 4-3, and that ball was right off the end of the mound. Ryan Ludwig is 2 for 3 against Dickey this afternoon. Jose Bautista and Brett Lawrie have left this game with injuries. It sounds like Lawrie will be headed to the disabled list with a broken index finger. A disappointing development for Brett Lawrie, who got hit on his left hand in the New York series.
Now the Blue Jays have to figure out how they want to play this also. He was going back and forth from second base, third base, back and forth depending on the pitcher. He's now, well, from what we heard, going on the disabled list. Does Juan Francisco become the everyday third baseman?
2 outs. That's a reminder for breaking news, stories, stats, and scores. Follow us on Twitter at Sportsnet. This is where things go on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. Discussions about your inventory at AAA, who's playing well, who's on the roster, how can we address these injuries. Then the phone calls will start coming. You might get phone calls from GMs to say, hey, you know, we got this extra guy here. It's not playing for us. If you need somebody for the short term, we can help you out. They actually happen where you have a good trading relationship with a particular team. And there might be a situation where a team's got a surplus of middle infielders and they have to open up a spot for an outfielder. You just don't know. 0-2 to Brian Pena.
How about the GMs that try to take advantage of the problems that you have? Hey, I saw you just lost Brett Lawrie. I got a guy over here. You can have him. He's making $12 million a year.
Yeah, oh, that's going to happen too.
You know, you can have him.
But it's going to take that AA prospect you got too, and you'll have to pay $12 million.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help you.
I mean, those are the things that are happening right now. And Alex Anthopoulos, listened to him talk in New York when Kawasaki came up. He said one of the questions was why Kawasaki. He said he's on the roster. I mean, you don't have to get a guy off the roster and then get a guy on or any of that kind of stuff. He's a guy who's already part of our 40-man.
And that too is part of the equation when you make decisions. How long is it going to be? Is it going to be a full second half of the season? Is it going to be short term? How long is Brett Laurie going to be out? You can't make these decisions until you know all the information. Bautista's not even going to be examined until they get back to Toronto, so you don't know the extent of his injury.
And Brett will go on the disabled list from what we hear, the 15-day disabled list. That doesn't mean he's going to be back in 15 days.
There's a looper into left field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Pena is around first. He's headed for second. Here's the throw. It's not in time. Brian Pena with his 10th double of the season.
Well, wasn't hit very hard by Pena. He really got fooled on that knuckleball. One more time, right off the end of the bat, he flays it down the left field line. Mielke does everything he can. He hustles over there. He knows he's got a shot with the catcher. Stumbles just a little bit. I think that threw his timing off. And that ball ended up wide of second base, and Pena's got himself an extra base hit.
So Pena will be lifted in favor of a pinch runner. R.A. Dickey is out. Sergio Santos in to face Zach Cozart in his one-run game when we come back. Hit a double. He got to second base with 2 outs. Then Brian Price sent in a pinch runner. Pena's all the way back in the dugout. Billy Hamilton was at second base, standing at second base. And then you can see they came over and said, Brian, go back. We changed our mind. So Pena goes back to run, and they're calling Billy Hamilton back in from second base. Then the umpires had a little brief meeting to discuss the impact. Is he in the game? Evidently, he wasn't announced into the game, so Hamilton has returned to the dugout. Now he's come out on deck to pinch hit in the pitcher's spot.
Yeah, that's where you want to put him right there.
So Pena, the runner at second. Zach Cozart facing Sergio Santos.
And then here are the numbers for Sergio Santos. He has thrown better since coming off the disabled list this season with that minor elbow problem. He's using his fastball much better right now. His slider, where he was throwing it a lot, he's just using it in certain situations now, and he's pitched much better.
He pitched an inning on Friday night through 12 pitches. There's a line drive into center. That's going to hang up for Rasmus, and Santos gets out of the 8th. The Blue Jays keep it a 1-run game. We'll go to the 9th. Blue Jays are down 4-3. It'll be Josh Tolley, then the pitcher's spot, facing the Waldis Chapman, the closer. Top of the hour as the Red Sox will wrap up their season against their series against the Oakland Athletics. John Lester against Tommy Malone, a couple of left-handers, right after this ball game. So Aroldis Chapman, who was in the game, he was the losing pitcher on Friday night, and he threw 33 pitches in that game. That was 3 shy of his career high. He threw 36 pitches in a game in 2011 and didn't pitch for 4 days after that.
And great numbers all the way around for Chapman. Triple digits with the fastball. He's been using his slider. Threw a lot of sliders the other night. And the guy who got the big hit against him is going to lead off this 9th inning against Chapman. See if he can do it again. You can see the numbers.
Skip Schumacher goes from center to left. Billy Hamilton comes in to play center field defensively. Eric Kratz pinch hitting for Josh Tolley. Deanna Navarro is on deck in the pitcher's spot. Power against power.
Well, the one thing that Kratz did in that at-bat is he really shortened up once he got the 2 strikes. Fed him a lot of sliders, and he had a great at-bat against Chapman, doubled the left field. Chapman likes to live upstairs with that fastball. You got to discipline yourself, make sure he brings it down.
Check on the slider. Kratz is 2 for 3 with a home run against Chapman.
Now you got to go to work. He can throw that fastball right by you. That slider's been a good pitch for him.
Upstairs. Chapman pitched just 2/3 of an inning in that game on Friday night, charged with 4 earned runs on 2 hits. He had a couple of walks and 1 strikeout.
The discipline right there. He loves to throw that heater up there. If you swing at it, you're not going to do anything with it, so just take it.
Deanna Navarro is on deck. Had a good series so far. Is popped up over near the seats. Frazier will run out of room. Go back and look at the at-bat on Friday night.
We've been talking about it a lot. It's a breaking ball down. He takes it. Another breaking ball. Watch all the breaking balls that Chapman throws. A guy who throws 100 miles an hour. Here's the one fastball that he got, and he went right back to the breaking ball, and that's the double. You see, he shortened up his swing. He's got plenty of strength. Just meet the ball out in front. Kratz ended up with the double. 100
miles an hour, and Kratz strikes out.
Ball was down that time with a lot on it. There's some late movement on that ball, too.
Chapman not showing any ill effects from 33 pitches on Friday night. John Navarro will pinch hit for the pitcher. The Blue Jays has used everyone but Adam Lind off their bench.
You can see Todd Frazier, the third baseman, is guarding the line, which is surprising. since this guy throws 100 miles an hour, you got to really start your swing early to pull this guy.
Yeah, I don't know that I would play the defense there.
The percentages are more in the middle of the field or the other way because Chapman throws so hard.
Navarro got a piece of that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Cincinnati leads. We are in the top of the ninth.
18 appearances for Chapman. 15 times he has struck out at least 2 batters in an inning. He's reaching back for a little something extra, trying to get it by Navarro.
Breaks his bat. Pitch was right inside, and he needs a new bat.
What a weapon to have a guy like this coming out of your bullpen. Lots of strikeouts. That eliminates errors. Guys hitting the ball and the possibility of an error. The fear factor, the intimidation factor that you have with that guy, knowing that you're going to see him in the 9th inning in a close ball game. And oh yeah, he can hit 105.
He has had back-to-back 38 saves seasons for Cincinnati. But you're right, you come in and you just don't put the ball in play.
Yep. You got to do what the Blue Jays did the other day against him. They made him bring the ball down. He threw a lot more sliders than I've ever remember him throwing.
Two down.
"16 times now he has struck out at least 2 batters. He struck out the side 4 times in 18 chances.
Munenori Kawasaki bats with 2 outs.
In line for the win.
It would be his 7th. One and 2 to Kawasaki.
1 and 2. I thought you were saying the miles per hour there. 102 for Chapman.
It was 102. Ball game. Chapman strikes out the side in the 9th. Todd Frazier, the difference in the ball game. hit the opposite field, a home run. Johnny Cueto, 8 strong innings, and Cincinnati wins the series 2-1.
Yeah, and a rough day for the Blue Jays and a rough road trip for the Blue Jays. A couple of injuries today. They didn't win a series on the road here. Now they have to go home. They got to get themselves ready for the New York Yankees, no less. A good road trip for Edwin Encarnacion. Brett Laurie looks like he's going to be heading to the DL. Blue Jays are going to have to pull it together for tomorrow night.
Blue Jays finish up the road trip 3-7. We'll be back at Rogers Center tomorrow. More baseball coming up. Red Sox at Oakland. But first, here's Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker.